In this video, I will be reviewing issue 1 of the Kai-Sei Saga Godzilla comic, simply called Godzilla. I recommend seeing my coverage of the prequel comic, the Free Comic Book Day issue, as I go more into detail about what happens in this universe's setup. And for those wanting to read the comic itself, but for whatever reason couldn't, well, I have good news for you, because it turns out the first couple pages of issue 1 contain the exact same pages covering this specific story in the Free Comic Book Day issue. This is the first story in a trilogy, all set in the same universe but at different points in time. I assume when the other two stories get their first issues, their prequel setups that were in the Free Comic Book Day issue will also pop up at the beginning of their respective issue 1s. But to give a brief synopsis for the uninitiated, this first story takes place in a universe where a mysterious energy referred to as Kai-Sei is discovered in 1954, which also coincidentally unleashes a flurry of new monsters, Godzilla most notable. And basically the monster attacks never stop. To make matters worse, an entire part of the US has been walled off, declared a dead zone, irradiated by this Kai-Sei energy, which has also led to the rise of mutant beings, who also possess this Kai-Sei energy, also found in the monsters. Fast forward to present day, and we get an orphan by the name of Jason, who exhibits Kai-Sei energy unlike any other, giving him the power to actually go toe-to-toe with Godzilla, or at least halt his physical foot from crushing him, before being flung away. After being brought into the fold, the anti-Godzilla organization known as G-Force, including Jet Jaguar, Jason vows vengeance against Godzilla. That's pretty much the recap. Now, on to issue 1, which picks up right after this. Issue 1 starts off with Anguirus emerging from the ocean. After this, Jason heads to his new room where he's sharing with some scientist called Braid, but when he gets there, some other guy called Marco is there instead. And based off this, it seems he was snooping around trying to find secrets that Braid has. As far as I'm aware, we don't actually see Braid in this chapter, but I'm sure it'll be important later on. Jason then does a little training with the G-Force members, and they get to show off some of their powers, like Jet Jaguar being able to increase his size, specifically controlling the size growth of his hand, exo-suits that enhance strength, speed, and even provide long-ranged weaponry, and even some kind of pyrokinesis, being able to just control and create explosions out of nothing, like their Bakugo from My Hero Academia. Afterwards, the G-Force crew hear word about Anguirus and rush to confront the monster. It's pointed out that whenever Anguirus shows up, Godzilla has a habit of showing up not long after. We also get reference an incident that happened in New York, as well as the possibility that Jason could potentially create another dead zone with his off-the-charts levels of Kai-Sei energy. After blowing up some oxygen in Anguirus' mouth and destroying a tooth, Anguirus eventually retreats, without much fight. One of the other G-Force members reveals that they have psychic powers, and tries to see into Anguirus' mind, but can tell that something's off, and she faints after trying to find out what exactly. Something else I wanted to mention is that King Caesar is also brought up in this issue. We already heard reference to Rodan in the prequel comic, but it's nice to know King Caesar might potentially make an appearance at some point as well. One of the variant covers for issue 1 also features Mothra, but again, that's just a variant cover, that doesn't mean anything, but it'd also be interesting if Mothra showed up at some point. Based off the way this guy references King Caesar, I'm guessing he's not an ally to humanity like he normally is. Dr. Chila reveals that Anguirus has survived every known weapon, including Godzilla, as well as the fact that after she read Anguirus' mind, she could tell that Anguirus was weakened and dying. Right after saying this, Jason falls off the boat and is dragged down into the ocean. After pursuing Jason, she sees these giant worm things. During all of this, someone's talking in the background, and on the last page it's revealed to be some new monster called Lament, who's speaking fluent English. The little synopsis preview at the end of the issue describes Lament as being a monster unlike any Godzilla has ever faced. Whether that's referring to like the franchise as a whole or just this Godzilla specifically remains to be seen. Based off this little concept art I found of Wikizilla, as well as this one alternate variant cover of issue 1 which just straight up spoils his appearance before he even officially shows up, his design kind of reminds me of Monster X, as well as those aliens from Rulers of Earth. Of course, as you may have noticed, outside the prequel comic, Godzilla himself doesn't actually appear in issue 1, but I'm sure that'll change soon enough. It's also hypothesized emphasize that these worm things are also responsible for weakening Anguirus. Sort of think of them as monster leeches, like Shakuras, except they actually, cause harm to the monsters they leech off of. As mentioned before, there will be 2 other stories set in the same continuity. The second story, Escape the Dead Zone, which focuses on a half-man kaiju hybrid that apparently has the power to kill a kaiju, something that the characters in this first issue described as having not been able to do. I guess at some point escaping the dead zone that he's trapped in, which has been changing and mutating both the people and the monsters that continue to live in there, and has been described as the writers himself as basically being a cross between Mad Max and Over the Garden Wall, if you're familiar with those 2 works. The third and final story, at least for now, Starship Godzilla, is definitely set off in the far distant future, and the best way to describe this story is basically, I don't know, Cowboy Bebop or Outlaw Star, but with Godzilla, or Mechagodzilla. I don't know, ragtag group of misfits doing whatever mercenary work they can throughout the universe. In any case, issue 2 of Godzilla Kai-Sei Saga, that's what I'm going to refer to it as, Godzilla Kai-Sei, will be out September 10th, so I'll be covering that not long after it releases. But before that, issue 1 of Escape the Dead Zone will be coming out just a little after this video releases, so I'll be covering that one next. Stay tuned until either, folks. Take care.